Welcome back. I'm Anjanette Levy, and thanks for being with us on this Friday afternoon as we take your questions in the YNW Melly double murder case. Court is dark on Fridays, so that means we have an extra hour to answer your questions. So keep them coming to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and of course, in our YouTube chat. We'll get to as many of them as we can. With me is Terry Austin from Law&Crime. She's an attorney, as is Michael Bryant, who is also a host here at Law&Crime, and Bradford Cohen, who used to represent YNW Melly, is with us as well. Terry, next question comes to you from Zane Buckets 5 from YouTube. Is the prosecution almost done with their evidence? What's your feeling on that?
I would say yes, almost done, but we haven't seen the medical examiner yet. I think that's the last most important piece of evidence that the prosecution is going to have to put on. We've already seen cell phone data, we've already seen DNA, we've already seen gang-related information. I think now, once we see the medical, it'll show about the ballistics of those bullets that went in and out of that car. So that's going to be important because it's going to show what happened to those bodies. We also have seen ballistics information from forensics experts. I think after that, they will probably wind down and we'll then see the defense case. And the defense does have a long list of witnesses. I think they're going to put on a case. As you know, they don't have to, but I think here they not only have done a great job cross-examining the prosecution's witnesses, but they also have their own witnesses that they're going to bring on board as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, David Howard, for one, seems to be really on top of it. You know, the whole defense team seems to be very good. Let's get to our next question. This is from @ThomasBoy305 from YouTube, Michael Bryant. Will the evidence found on his phone between Melly and his mom about the gun be relevant because it was after the fact that Sack and Juvie were murdered, and that's him asking his mom to get him a gun?
Yeah, I mean, the message took place after the fact, but it took place before the fact. So that, of course, is going to be relevant. And then the question is it, you know, is it too prejudicial, more so than probative? I would say it comes in. I would say it's very important information. It's not going to win the day, but it's a little piece of something. But don't get me started on that whole cell phone thing. As you know, I am disgusted by the reverence that is given all of this cell phone information. The texts, okay, we know that a text was made and received. But we still you never really know who is the sender, who is the receiver. The phone was the sending phone, the receiving phone was the receiving phone, and that's it. And we saw so much cell phone testimony with all the nice dots and graphs and circumferences around the areas of the pinging. But it's just, to me, it's given, you know, when we can start saying that a certain cell phone was used by a person to the 25 million quadrillionth level like we do DNA, then maybe I'll be a little more respectful. But right now, it's subject to how many cell phone towers, how many phones, who has access to the phones. I've got a family plan with, I've got 4 phones in my name, and my kids using them and running around. Is that me? But that's what would come up in the records, that I was using it. So I got a problem with that. I'm sorry, I got off on my rant there. As to the texts, I think, yes, important and somewhat helpful, but it's not going to win the day.
It sounds like you got a lot of people running around on your cell phone
Yes.
plan. I don't know if I want to see that bill, Michael. It might be a big one. Here's a question for you, Bradford. It comes from Casey from YouTube. What or who makes a murder case become a death penalty case? Good question, because a lot of people have asked that. Why in particular is this case a death penalty case? So in Florida, what makes a death penalty case a death penalty case?
So there's certain aggravators that are looked at in order to make it into a death penalty case. Every case is different. It just depends on the case, depends on how it happened. And in terms of whether or not they seek the death penalty, sometimes there's enough aggravators to maybe seek the death penalty, but maybe when they look at it, there's some mitigators. The individual might have a low IQ. There might be some trauma in their background. There might be something that they say, okay, we're not going to seek the death penalty on this, even though there are some aggravators. When there's police shootings or police killings, that's automatically an aggravator where most state attorneys will seek the death penalty. When there's an execution style killing, they might seek the death penalty because of the way the individuals were killed. There's a multitude of factors why they seek the death penalty. I think they, like I said, I think they overplayed their hand in this case. I think that the evidence, I can't stress enough, the evidence in this case about putting him in that vehicle, about that's his phone, that he used it at the time, that he did the shooting. This is a very difficult case for the state. Very early on, I was representing him for months. I saw the evidence. I went over the evidence. I just think that this is a very, very hard case for the state to prove. And I think David Howard, who I'm very familiar with and I've had cases with in the past, and we've shared clients before in the past, I think he's doing an excellent job. I think he's picking apart not only the state's case, but also picking apart the objections and getting that's key in any trial, especially a death case. You have to raise those objections. You have to do it well. You have to keep out the evidence that's irrelevant. And even the evidence that might be relevant, but the probative is not as great as the prejudicial, and keeping that evidence out. That's key in this case. And I think he's doing an excellent job of it.
Yeah, he certainly seems to know what he's doing, knows his way around the courtroom. Rashida Morant from YouTube, and Terry, I'm going to send this one to you. I love this because Rashida is from Jamaica, so thanks for watching from Jamaica, Rashida. She asks, is there enough evidence, if any, to convict this young man? Obviously, we're still not at the end of the state's case, but what say you, Terry?
Well, based on what I'm seeing in that courtroom, I don't think the jury thinks there's enough evidence to convict this young man. So far, I think they are a little bit confused as to whether or not, as we've discussed, they can put Melly in that car with the gun in his hand and being the shooter. I think they're listening to all of this evidence. If you recall, week one, we had a lot of evidence about guns, and the joke was, are we all getting a certificate about guns? And I think a lot of the experts have talked generally about their areas of expertise, so guns and DNA data and cell phone data. But I don't think that they have put everything together to actually convict Melly at this point. And I think the jury is feeling the same way. We'll see what happens. The case is not over yet, but I think most of the evidence is in at this point. So I agree with everyone who has said that at this point the momentum is with the defense, and they are doing an excellent job.
All right, our next question is from @CherryB7080 from YouTube, Michael Bryant. Does it appear that the prosecution is trying to present evidence of gang affiliation to establish a motive it was committed as a way to be initiated into the gang? What's your thought on that, Michael?
Well, we know we heard that right out of the box in the opening statements, that was the motivation. Of course, no motivation needed to be proved, but humans want to know, why would somebody do this? And especially true when you have two people that are supposedly good friends. I keep flashing back on the Alec Murdaugh case. These were friends, not son and wife, but still a close connection that you want to know what in the heck could drive somebody to shoot these people. I think money is a better motivation, and we've heard a little about that. But yes, there has been this suggestion that as part of either affiliating with or rising up in the gang, that Demons would kill his friends. I don't know. To me, it's a tough sell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we see cases all the time, though, where people kill family members and friends. But these people were coming up together in that rap music environment. They were, on the rise. Their star was on the rise. So it does kind of make you wonder what was going on here. Goody Great from YouTube. Bradford, this one's for you. Why isn't Bradford his attorney anymore?
So I was originally on the case with an individual. His name is Jason Williams, who's an excellent attorney from New Orleans. And he represented another rapper named Boozy in a murder case, which he walked them on. He ended up becoming the state attorney for New Orleans, and Mr. Demons wanted to move in a different direction. He wanted to hire other attorneys, and I was okay with that. I always look out for the best interest of the client, and I treat it just like a doctor-patient relationship. If you guys aren't, you don't get the same vibe, or you're not vibing together, I have no hard feelings whatsoever. I was called 6 or 7 months ago to come back on the case. But I don't, I'm not a fan of jumping off and jumping back onto cases. I think that he's got a very good team. I think David Howard's an excellent lawyer, and I don't want to ruin or, get involved in between a client and his new attorney. So I didn't get back on the team. But that doesn't mean I don't think the case is good. I think the case is a great case. I honestly think it's a defense case. We'll see what the verdict is, because you never know in any trial, but I think it's a very good, strong defense case.
All right. Our next question, at CR-TN5RF from YouTube. What will happen, Terry, if he beats the case? Will he be freed right away?
Well, if he's acquitted, he should be freed right away. I mean, generally speaking, if he wins that case, the judge is going to look at him and say, you are free to go. You can take the handcuffs off. Usually they do that right away. So, yes, I think they're all hoping. Obviously, the family is hoping. And I will say the family is always in that courtroom every single day. His mother is there. His grandmother's there. I've met them, and they're all extremely supportive of him. And if, in fact, he does win this case and he's fully acquitted, you better believe that he'll turn around and hug them. He hasn't been with them for all of these years, and apparently he's under 23-1, which means that, you know, he's behind bars 23 hours of the day and he's free for 1 hour. So some of the laughing and joking I think that you see is probably because he hasn't had an opportunity to be out. Once he's acquitted, if he's acquitted, you better believe he's going to be freed that day and walk out of the courthouse. That's usually what happens.
Yeah, most definitely. Or take him back to the jail, he gets his stuff, and they pick him up there, you know. So probably some security issues that go along with that as well. Let's take a quick break. Keep the questions coming to us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We'll be right back. I'm Anjanette Levy, and you're watching Law and Crime.